Thanks again for joining us on the program. Let's
listen.
prep.
It's a bit off and on, but
Where the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Betoko, is again emphasizing the readiness of the force to protect all peaceful protesters. At a closed-door meeting where the heads of security agencies, the IGP says the police and other security agencies will be provided with body cams to monitor their activities. He explains that the security agencies will under no circumstance and property were lost.
Yeah, before IGP Egbetokun speaks, I want to just say this briefly. The people have the right to peacefully protest. It is enshrined in the Constitution, Section 39. And while we do that, I always like to really back up everything I'm saying with facts. I don't want to just talk. This is very important that we do this. Welcome to Citizen Awa, the platform where we speak truth to power. You, of course, listen to Citizen Awa, the platform where we speak truth to power. This is very, very important situation that we have now, and there's been some developments I want to talk about. A lot of people have been Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, and Solomon Dalong have all said they want to be part of they are part of the protest, and the government is trying to do everything and to dissuade people from peacefully protesting. And I'm saying that's not right. We shouldn't accept it. The people have the right to peacefully protest. Anybody carrying out any violence of whatsoever, they're not meant to be part of the protest, and they should be removed, and the protest should carry on. The voice of the people must be heard. We have the rights enshrined in the Constitution. So let me just go and quickly give you that information. I do think it's important to really emphasize that point. We shouldn't allow the government to use an excuse or anything else to cloud or cover or prevent the voice of the people being heard. Nobody's advocating for any violence of any kind whatsoever in this process, and the peaceful protest must go on. And we need accountability from the government. We need accountability. What do I mean by accountability? Let me show you quickly before I bring the other one on. That's what I mean. We need government accountability. Government accountability. You see that? That is government accountability that we need there. That's the bullseye. That's what must happen. Anything else is not acceptable. Please don't forget, as you're watching, subscribe to Season A, the platform where we speak to the power. Here we go. Subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, give us thumbs up, help us reach more people. Subscribe and help us grow the platform. We really appreciate your support. Now, okay, we're gonna go and do something now. I'm gonna bring to you section 39 of the Constitution, and I'm reading 14.2a offhead, as many of you are aware. And I also suggest that you learn this offhead in your local language as well, and not only in English but your local language. Your local language is far more important because we have over 200 million people who speak your local, and we have over 200 million people with different languages, and those people must be what's the word? They have to be given the opportunity to participate in the governance, and the best way for that, of course, is through knowing the Constitution in their local language. So, just to go on to what I was saying, Section 39 states every person shall be entitled to freedom of expression, including freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart ideas and information without interference. It is really important that happens. We do not, under any circumstances, want the government to interfere with that. That is the enshrined law in the Constitution. That is no debate. It must happen, and people do not have to state who they are, or or if they're part of any organization. It is their right. Every person, it is their right. You know, and it's Section 40 says every person shall be entitled to freely associate with other persons, and in particular may form or belong to any political party, trade union, or any other association for the protection of his interests. Section 40. So you see, you got all of that there. And finally, of course, Section 14. I'm going to go and say that Section 14.2a as a sovereign. I need you to know that. I need you to know that off head. I need you to cram those things off head. That is why we're doing shows like we're doing here. We need our people to begin to hold their governors to account. This will not, this is nothing about a personal attack aimed at any particular person. We need the governance functioning for the people as a whole. We need to ignore tribalism and religion. They are divisive, and they meant to keep us from actually focusing on the real issues, which is accountability. Okay, so 14.2a states It is hereby according to declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom the government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. So you have it on the screen. So in that vein, whatever you need to view whatever the Inspector General Egbetokun is saying or police is saying in the context of what I've just shown you. So let us proceed. Okay. Okay. People have a right to protest. So let me forward a bit more. We'll hear him.
Activities. He explains that the security agencies will under no circumstance
So let's hear him.
Property were lost.
Let's hear him.
With heads of other security agencies, with the IG, and at this meeting, we will be discussing on the level of our preparedness for the protests that have been threatened all over. We will be sharing intelligence. We'll be discussing the roles that each agencies will be playing in the event of a protest.
I would just like to say a protest is not a threat. It is a constitutional right. A peaceful protest is not a threat. You see, the kind of language they're using, they're trying to make you think, oh, no, it's a protest. No, it's a peaceful protest. It is a peaceful protest as enshrined in the Constitution. And also the judgment of the courts that actually brought that up. And let me see if I've got that paperwork here. 1 second, please. So, like I said, when the Inspector General of Police, Egbetokun, is trying to sort of insert a threat, no, it's not a threat. It says here, this is the court judgment of the Chief Justice, Justice Chinyere, I think it is. Let me get that out. Chinyere J, trial judge Chinyere J held that the permit was inconsistent. So within the permit with the sections 39 and 40 of the Constitution and Article 11 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and Act Cap 89 Laws of Federation Nigeria 2004. According to him, the learned trial judge said, I'm therefore persuaded by the argument of Mr. Femi Falana that by the combined effects of the section 39 and 40 of the 1999 Constitution, as well as the Article 11 of the African Charter on Human Rights and People's Rights, the right to exercise assembly freely cannot be violated without violating the fundamental right to peaceful assembly and association. I also agree with Mr. Falana that the violation can only be done by procedure permitted by law under Section 45 of the Constitution, in which case there must be a state of emergency properly declared before these rights can be violated. State of emergency, right? Even though the trial judge confirmed the governor of each state was the appropriate authority to grant permit under the Act and trial, the court did not hesitate to declare illegal and unconstitutional the provisions of the Public Order Act, which require permit for public meetings and rallies. Consequently, the court proceeded to grant the order of perpetual injunction restraining the defendant, the Inspector General of Police, whether by himself, his agents, privies and servants, and from further preventing plaintiffs and other aggrieved citizens of Nigeria from organizing or convening peaceful assemblies, meetings, and rallies and against unpopular government measures and policies. So you have it there in black and white. I'm just showing you all of this so to give you a bit more context. So everything is said here. It is not in law. The law supports peaceful protest at every point. Let's go ahead. Just wanted to state that. Okay, let's go on.
Protest to aggravate.
It's coming and going, but
the protest. We will be having meetings.
They're having meetings. Okay, that's fine. We're not interested in that. All you need to do
peaceful protest. I have said earlier on that we recognize protest as the right of citizens, and we as security agencies, we have a duty to protect this right. But the right to protest is right to peaceful protest. We don't want a repeat of the NSAS protest in Nigeria.
Well, that's not down to.
Well, Nigerian youth have again been advised to carry their protest with caution and not allow it to degenerate into destruction of critical infrastructure in the country. That counsel is coming from the co-chair of the National Traditional Rulers Council and the Oni of Ife. The Oni of Ife spoke on our political program, Politics Today.
We need to let our people know that it is important for us to let them know that political and all our political leaders will come and go, but common assets and public assets shouldn't be destroyed. We will be the one to suffer because we should come together as a country and not as individuals. People that are clamoring for riots, or protest or demonstration, we know. We traditional rulers, we never said that people shouldn't go to the streets to demonstrate. It is their right. Even our political leaders confirmed that they can go. The agitation is real. We know that we have a lot of suffering in the country, and it is not only Nigeria. We have global inflation. It is everywhere. But what we traditional rulers are after is do not let us destroy our country ourselves. This is a global phenomenon. We should be very sensitive about it. We should be very mindful that we should love our country more than.
You see, notice you have they have all the kings and all of that there. It's important to understand that they have a voice, yes, but the people's right is the same nonetheless. The people are the sovereigns, and they have to be allowed to peacefully protest, to air their concerns. The fact that the people are protesting has shown that the powers that they look at of our sovereigns on our land, they've not been able to influence the government. So it's down to the people. The people must be allowed to voice their concerns. The royal fathers don't have an influence, or they have not been able to influence the government to actually address the concerns of the people. And as such, the people have the right.
Than anything, we should focus on patriotism, true patriotism.
Meanwhile, the police stop boss also held a virtual meeting with senior advocates of Nigeria, Ebonlu Adegboruwa and Mr. Femi Falana, as well as key members of the Take It Back movement in preparation for the End Bad Governance protest to ensure safety of lives and property. The IGP highlighted the need to maintain public order and safety during the planned protest while acknowledging the group's rights to freely assemble and express themselves through peaceful protest and the force's obligation to facilitate such rights within the confines of the law. Now, besides recommending that the protesters liaise with the state commissioners of police, he advised against unplanned, open, and unnecessary processions due to the potential danger they pose and proposed the exercise to be confined to a venue.
It's not advised that we go on street procession, because I've said earlier on that as you are mobilizing for peaceful protest, some are mobilizing for violent protest.
It is up to the
We are doing our best to make sure that we check those ones. Then for the peaceful protest, we are agreeing on the
police should identify. I'm sure you can identify and isolate the thugs who are trying to disrupt, and also not only the thugs, but the politicians sponsoring those thugs. They need to be fished out by the police. It's time to actually work for the people for a change. Let's go ahead.
Modalities to conduct the peaceful protest at this period. That's why I suggested that confining peaceful protesters to a particular location will help us a lot. I want us to agree on that. That on the day of protest, your group will be confined to those places that you have identified. No. And let us also agree that there will be no procession. You indicated 8 locations, 8 states where you want to stage this protest. The IG will not be in all those 8 states at the same time. But we have commissioners of police in each of those states. Meet with them, tell the commissioners of police how you want to stage your peaceful protest. But as for me, I believe that a peaceful protest in a confined location will be very easy for the police to protect. But if you say you want to go on procession, you want to go around the whole city during your peaceful protest, I advise against that.
Well,
You don't
the
have that
protesters
right.
and those in that meeting didn't totally agree with some of the points raised by the IGP, especially the confinement. Let's take a listen to some of them.
The law, your duty is to ensure that adequate security is provided for protesters in line with Section 83, subsection 4 of the Police Establishment Act of 2020. And for me, one, there is commitment on the part of the police to ensure that those who want to protest are guided. There should be no problem. On behalf of my colleagues who are here, that we are not violent people, and we're not going to encourage violence as far as this protest is concerned. It may not be possible for organizers to say they are winning the procession. I don't think that would be possible.
We can agree on routes. We can agree on where we are going to pass through the protest, but I don't think it's possible to confine protest to a location. That will be absolutely impossible.
Surely our letter to the Inspector General of Police indicates that there will be procession, they will be guided in order to achieve peace during the process.
Just bear with me. There's some interruption, interference, but you got the
Speak on this further. This issue of the protest coming up tomorrow is a development. Mr. Solomon Dalong, he joins us from just the Plateau State capital. Mr. Dalong, good to see you and thank you for coming on the program.
Yeah, good afternoon, Nigerians, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right, Honorable, so let's begin. Are you going to be joining the protest tomorrow?
Live and direct.
Okay, because most of the time, when we speak to members of the APC or some of the members of the people in government, most of the time, they speak against the protest. So let me maybe rephrase again. Are you still in the APC?
I resigned from this APC in 2023, and I'm a member of the Social Democratic Party, the only political party that has suffered unaddressed injustice from the Nigerian state.
All right, Mr. Dalong, one of the things, before we get, okay, let's just get, so if for you joining the protest tomorrow, because you're one of the high-profile persons we have seen that is saying that he's going to join the protest, what's your motivation besides the things we've read across board?
Well, every human being is a member of a political community and a society. And the Nigerian people have not pretended that there are existential issues affecting their well-being as citizens. And they've seen that there is no attempt from established institutions to be able to address these issues. The National Assembly, the voices that tried to echo their grievances were silenced. The traditional institutions have been on paying of homages to the villa. The religious clerics are also on pilgrimage to Aso Rock. So the people are frustrated, and they have decided to join the elementary school of learning the language to speak with the government. They are now graduates of the appropriate language of communication which the government can understand, which is protest. So I am motivated by the commitment of our people to seek peaceful redress from their government. That is the motivation.
So when we've spoken with a couple of ministers, a couple of people in government. As a matter of fact, we spoke earlier today with the Minister of State for Health. And one of the things he's constantly mentioned is that, paraphrasing what he said, Nigeria has been living a fake life. More like the government has been subsidizing fuel, forex, electricity. and all whatnot. And so the Tinubu administration is coming to reset this. And it's going to take a bit of time for that to kick in. The Nigerians should give them the benefit of doubt and allow them some time for this to kick in. Is that a strong proposition that
network is
the Tinubu administration and his ministers are completely disconnected from the people. Most of them, since their appointments, had never even had any good link with the people to understand the devastating impact of the policy of withdrawal of fuel subsidy. They are already, they are just panicked by this resolve of the people. So they have been running from pillar to post to try to connect with the people, but it's been difficult. So all that they are doing now is try to operate a narrative that is completely at variance with what is obtainable on the ground and what the people knew much about their situation. So the conversation by the Minister of State is more or less too academical to be reconciled with the situation. And I think they need more education to understand what we're dealing with right now on the ground.
Lalongto, we will not forget too early that he served in the government of President Muhammadu Buhari in his very first term. And one of the things that we're perceiving that this government is putting across to us is that the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari left a huge burden on them. Literally, Nigeria was almost going bankrupt. So when they talk about the leadership of Muhammadu Buhari, you are part of that leadership. It appears that what they are saying and what they inherited, it appears that the government did not do well or did fail, literally. Is that your assessment? In your assessment, how well or badly did Muhammadu Buhari do as a president of Nigeria, under whose cabinet he served in the first term?
Tinubu and Buhari are semester twins. The government of Muhammadu Buhari was a joint government of Buhari and Tinubu. Tinubu provided the vice president and about 5 ministers in the cabinet for the period of 8 years. He also nominated special advisors. And as one who served in the government, on many occasions, we have traveled with him together with President Muhammadu Buhari on foreign missions. So I think it is unfair for President Tinubu to say, to now say he inherited. No, there was nothing for him to inherit. Whatever we are dealing with today was what they jointly with Muhammadu Buhari put in place. And from their arguments now, I am convinced that part of the advice they gave Buhari with those he nominated was to drive the country to this position so that they can find themselves in power and embark on blame game. But there is no distinction, clear distinction at all, between Buhari's 8 years government and Tinubu, because they shared the members of the government and they serve their interests in government.
Are you by inference saying that the Muhammadu Buhari administration failed in the management of our common resources?
Completely. That I have not denied it. That self-indictment I have admitted and has apologized to Nigerians, because I'm one of those who can...
apology is not enough. There has to be accountability as well. Whilst you were there, we would like to get more details of the things that you were involved in, the contracts, the budget, and all of that. We need accountability. You got to come back and explain. So that's another thing that I would be strongly advocating for, that all former ministers must be accountable. That way they will know, the incoming ministers will know what to expect, that they have to be accountable. And this is part of what we need to be doing. But of course, it starts with accountability first as a protest format. But former ministers must be accountable, and they have to be charged for what they've done as a result. That is part of the process. Let's go on.
Vigorously for President Muhammadu Buhari and the APC. And I had a vision, a dream of transforming Nigeria into a better society. So if we have not been able to achieve that in the 4 years of my service and the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, I cannot place saint now. That government failed, and of course, some of the debt burdens that Nigeria is dealing with was by that Tinubu Buhari's government, which we served in. So I have not denied that the government did not discharge its social contract with Nigerians.
All right, Mr. Dalong, I want to put up a few things. If my producer can get me some of the things. The question I want to ask is, some of they call it, there's no aggregated common charter of demands because there are different groups coming together to protest. I don't know what group you belong. Maybe I'll ask you, what group do you belong to? Are you a lone protester, or there's a group you belong to, or you're coming as a member of the SDP? How are you coming on this protest? As a citizen or a member of a group? Or let's be clear.
Currently, I lead the various civil society, faith-based, and community groups in the north that had
network issues, but
it will be fair to refer to me as the leader of most of those groups.
Would you also say, some people are alluding to the fact, especially the people in power, that this may border on anarchy, that people who have lost elections.
No, I don't believe
who has
that.
been a politician, or who is still a politician, a former minister who served barely a few years ago. Do you see this as politically motivated?
You know, it's unfortunate that those in government are demarketing our image as a country. Nigerians have great brains all over the world. So if such statements are coming officially from government, I mean, it's embarrassing to injustice, insecurity, and impunity. Can they deny any of those things? Why have they not given the attention to address these things? People are dying every day, even in Jos, where I am. A man collapsed yesterday by the road and died. His pocket was searched, and prescriptions were seen in the pocket, which he has no money to afford. And he collapsed and died. These are realities. So why are you shifting the goalpost instead of dealing with the issue? So the government should kindly please stop embarrassing Nigerians.
All right, Mr. Dalong, let's go to some of the demands. And I always like to ask this question. So if the government meets Mr. Solomon Dalong, who is a former minister, and say, what would you want us to do to shelve? They say they want fuel subsidy reintroduced. They want a reverse in the hike in electricity tariff. If my producer can get me up on that screen so that everybody can see what I'm reading. End hardship and hunger. Free all detained NSAS protesters. End hike in school fees. Provide students with grants, not loan. Place political office holders on minimum wage. Reverse all anti-poor neoliberal policies. And fix old and build new refineries. So some of these things have been mentioned. But if there was a top 3 in your list that can, in the immediate term, the short term, that Mr. Dalong will want to see happen so that you can begin to advise your people to stay back at home and not join the protest or even cancel, what will it be?
Well, let me begin by saying that I love Nigeria and I'm a patriot. And I wish this country continue in peace and develop. The first 3, which even by the meeting we had yesterday, the online meeting we had yesterday, that had over 117,000 people in attendance, we narrowed these issues to 3. That, I mean, if the government can address these 3, the protest can be suspended while we test the sincerity of government in implementing the three, while other demands in the kitty, the also withdrawal of the hike in electricity tariffs.
Withdrawal and hike and
hike
of electricity tariff.
Of insecurity.
Issue of insecurity, and I believe fuel subsidy.
Oh dear. Yes, Mr. Dalong.
Yeah.
Just 10 seconds. I just have 10 seconds. Just land on your thoughts.
Okay.
Just 10 seconds.
So those three things, if the government can address them, it will douse the tension and it will even suspend the demonstration.
All right.
So we have restoration of fuel subsidy. We have the issue of electricity tariff and insecurity. These are very basic.
All right. Solomon Dalong, former Minister of Sports, thank you so much for joining us from just the Plateau State capital. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you very much too for the opportunity.
Well, that's it on the...
So, there you have it. It was definitely something worth looking into. What I want to... So, there are three things. Tariff on electricity, insecurity, and fuel subsidy. Those three things. For me, I believe that this is what we need to do. Those things are just symptoms. The symptoms of bad governance, but that has a foundation, its foundations in this particular thing here. Lack of accountability. The bullseye is the government accountability. All the protesters, I would like you to take a screenshot of that. The bullseye is accountability, government accountability. So I'm saying this, and I would like everybody to really take that on board. Take a screenshot of that and use it. Government accountability. When you are accountable, corruption stops. You have to become accountable to the people. You have to answer the questions. You have to provide receipts, the evidence, and failing to do so, face the consequences, in which we have the capable court system and judiciary to prosecute anybody that has been seen to actually broken the law. And then we have to, the key thing is to make it effective and pass those laws. And we have to see, those people have to be seen to be in jail by the general public to restore their faith in their governance. Without that, it's not going to happen. That's why government accountability at all levels is a must. So let's have that as a real foundational part of this peaceful protest. And you have the right to peacefully protest. And you see, they're trying to tell them they are restricting them. We shouldn't. You have the freedom as a sovereign to freely protest, and the government must indeed protect you, as stated by Femi Falana. And I said that some time ago. I've been talking about that for the past few days. But what are your thoughts? Let's have your thoughts. You're of course watching Citizen Newa, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please do share, and share. Please subscribe to Citizen Newa on YouTube, here, and TikTok. Help us with the platform. Subscribe, hit the notification button, give us a thumbs up, and help us reach more people. We really do need your support. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, share, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up, and let us have your thoughts and views on this. But as we hear now, Solomon Dalong and Femi Falana and others are going to be attending the peaceful protest tomorrow. We will give you further updates. For me, I am leaving this on here because I need you to know that the key thing right now is the accountability. Government accountability is what we must demand. And that's the foundation for everything. Once our governance from the state, from the local level to the federal, becomes accountable to we the people, and we participate, and we must participate in that process. Monthly town hall meetings in all 774 local government areas is now a must. It is a must. That way we're shining a light. Every time we have a meeting, they will not be able to plan and get away with looting, because they will have to explain all of that, and then they have to be accountable, and of course they will be prosecuted. They do all of this in the dark, in the quiet and everything, and nothing happens because we've not been exercising our powers as citizens, as sovereigns. Now the time is now. We have those powers, and we're teaching each other how to use it, and we're translating the constitution to local languages for people to know those powers and how to use it. So let's continue in that vein. Thank you for watching. You've been listening to Season A, the platform